Okay, so I'm here with my good friend Lily, and we're going to open up and see how far we can go down some particular rabbit hole. I don't know yet what that is because Lily's going to tell me where we're starting this journey. And the journey is a journey from questioning and not knowing into opening into allowing the truth of that answer, whatever your question is, to come back and integrate into your body and your consciousness. So our real jobs are to ask the questions that we have when we're in any kind of confusion about some aspect of reality and how you're supposed to be dealing with it. So please ask in such a way there's a confidence in your ask. Because you're going to get an answer, and you're going to allow that answer to be a blessing to you. You're here to realize the embodiment of your own wisdom. And you do that through confronting what is in your body already by surrendering into an intimate experience of it. And just everything that is asking you to tighten up and get rigid and fight or flight, you just, as soon as you feel that, you just gotta take another step back and relax. Because if somebody's pushing on you, like here and now, there's this little space right here that they're worried about. You're the infinite, boundless nature of both thought and the physicality of the universe and the spiritual essence of the void. So as you open into, as I said that, expanding out to see what the universe says about the possibility of that being true and real. And if you go out there and explore like that, you get what you wanted. That infinite you, the eternal you being back at home within yourself, heaven on earth, in the experience of your own sense of self and your body. The kingdom of heaven is the body, your body. Feel it. If you allow that, if you just keep opening and relaxing into that, it'll consume everything that isn't, anything that exists on lower planes and lower consciousness and any kind of victimhood or suffering, that just gets caught up in a continuing opening of a group awakening, so there's no judgment on anyone for anything, once we, surrender to the self. Your infinite self. That which is real about you. Not this experience of yourself where you're in suffering. This isn't real. This isn't you. But if the infinite you, if you're willing to feel everything that's going on in your body, then the power of your full grace of spirit and wisdom of eternity, that you get to wake up from the dream back into the truth of that. And why not? Why shouldn't we? Look, it has nothing to do with any sort of relationship that we have. You know, it doesn't matter what that is, or if it's not at all. That's not part of a divine story. Because there are no stories about the divine. Because there's no need to go into a pretend world to make yours more interesting. Okay. Well, what enhances that? What will allow us to further surrender into an intimate experience with the body, where we fully feel and understand how to be present in such a way as the body naturally wants to move in kind of a graceful, powerful, consciously aware, being. So here's to you and that is your current experience of now. Cheers. There's a lot of sadness that we have to confront, as we cleanse the temple from the previous occupant that was just so confused. When you awaken up to the truth of yourself, you've got some disharmonies in your body, that you relax into, and wake up from there. Because that's what you want to awaken from is your nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your happy, friendly, fun, sexy dreams, they're okay. We like having those. But the nightmare, so we have to go dark. We have to open into our own darkest nature and consider why we would think it was a good idea to do that to ourselves. And then when we realize why it was a good idea, then we quit fighting against the darkness because there was a good idea for us to have that experience. But what's the right thing for us to experience right now without worrying about who's right and who's wrong? Because if you're worried about who's right and who's wrong, then you have no idea who you are. You're lost in a dream. unaware that more than anything you could ever wish or dream for, you already are, and you just stopped noticing and thus experiencing yourself at that level of truth. And so the things that make you feel uncomfortable, you've got to feel them until you're comfortable relaxing into it and letting it go. Have it no longer mean anything to you because it's no longer affecting you, it's no longer opposed to you. So you open up to and feel things so that they can resolve mutually on all sides. Everybody wants to be free, and as soon as you experience a certain amount of freedom yourself, it's easy to start wishing well on your enemies, And when you wish for your enemy to awaken to an enlightened wisdom of the universe, and you fully expect him to actually open to that, feel the irresistible unconditional love coming through that, and until, oh, right, wow, oh, and they wake up on your blessing and return to the truth of that unconditionally loving creator consciousness that they are. Then humanity's finally set free by knowing itself divinely. At least that's what I think. I'm just saying, let's experiment with that. Try it out. See how it goes. Can we actually maintain a level of wholeness and oneness and cosmic consciousness?
Is the floor shaking or is it me? It's me. Me.
Yeah. Well, is there any new direction you want me to take this in? We've only been recording for 12 minutes. I'm ready to shut it down.
No, this was just an introduction. What's gonna happen?
Okay, so what would you like right now? What would please you the most right
Oh my
now?
God.
Okay, so just feel it. Just feel it. I'm feeling it in you already. So if you just allow me in your field so that I can feel all of that answer, exactly what it is, and be there with you, with it. And we open up to know it. And in that knowing, we notice that creator consciousness that you can find within and surrounding every atom in the universe, which means all of yours or your bodies. So your ability to be here as an individual, as a human, as a mostly a sleep consciousness, is moderated by how much attention you put on noticing God when you look within yourself. Every time you close your eyes to meditate or contemplate, notice God in that experience of what's going on. God is always going on. And if you just notice that in everything that you experience, then everything vortexes into a free flow. So as an engineer, how would you engineer your future knowing that? What's the best move for you? Do you just say, okay, the reasons for all of my pain, for all of my suffering, all of those reasons, all those beautifully good reasons, if you look at them, I think you'll find that they've all been fulfilled. And there's no remaining reason for you to not say, okay, I'm free. And have it be as simple as that. You just let that happen. Just don't oppose your own choice. If you choose that, stop denying it in yourself. Just if you choose that, then you notice it's not your experience, then all you got to do is shift your attention until, oh, okay, there it is. That's where I got off track. And you wake up in your darkness and the light finds its way to combusting in the essence of you. Where everything that was created in you in darkness and fear and anger and jealousy and greed, it's tough to be at peace when you're carrying all those burdens. And who are you carrying them for? And of what value are they to hold on to? Who's that valuable to? For you to hold on to not just useless burdens, but burdens that are an enemy to your bliss. So look at those burdens you're carrying. Just feel them. Let me feel them with you. Yeah, not fun at all. Until you notice, oh, there's God in the midst of it, right there in the darkest dark, damned, solid unconscious, the part that doesn't even know it still exists. That's where you wake up. Not even knowing that you existed. You knocked yourself that unconscious. And that's the frequency that all of your fractal aspects of yourself, allowed to define reality for you. I'd like to say that you can allow reality to be an experience of heaven on earth for you. Because I'm really, really sure that there's a bunch of people enjoying that experience for themselves already. If we join that party, we won't be the first ones in. So it's okay, because we're not the first ones. We don't know who the first ones are, but why would they want us to? That era of hero worship or superhero or prophet or Son of God. You know, again, everybody's the same. Everybody's divine. There's no opposition. Each one of us wakes up when we want to. So you don't have to worry about who's first and who's last, and who's right and who's wrong. All you have to do is remember when your time is. And I think you know where the answer to that is. Right about now. Oh, I forgot to put a new title in on this. It's going to say something else. Man, we're only 21 minutes. It feels like I've done 2 hours already.
Right? I feel the same way.
Hmm. What else is worth paying attention to? You know, with such miserable lives, you know, you can't just be content with turning things around in just a couple areas of your life. You know? Just move everything in harmony and resonance, you know, just let everything in every aspect of our lives open up and be free at the same time. No one's first, no one's last. Everybody's right where they want to be. So if you can allow for the possibility of that being your experience, we might be surprised at how well other people choose for themselves, as opposed to how we think they would be if they were given the choice truly to be free. They wouldn't be granting it to anybody else. When that's the only way for it to last. If you choose to be free and receive that as, you know, a realized wish or choice, then everybody being able to do that, each one of them in a better place than they were before, then everybody else's win is a win for us too. You see? Everybody moving wisely, everybody being responsible, everybody being a blessing to themselves and to their family and community. You know, a truly harmonious society based upon a group awakening, a group remembering, you know, a group becoming what it came here to do. You know, a realization of the divine and the eternal within the infernal reality of Earth. At least the collective human consciousness I've been connected to. That, you know, that's pretty yuck. You know, which of us can be proud of that? You know, how many truly magnificent examples of conscious love of everything? Who's there? If no one's there, or very few are there, then realize that you're in a sick society, a sick world. that thinks it's right. So now's the time where you admit that you're not right, that you've been wrong about everything and everyone. If you experienced anything and everyone in less than a divinely realized loving being, the essence of eternity, if you greeted anybody by less than that, then why are you arguing to be right in your interactions with anybody about anything? Go fuck yourself. Right? Yeah, so feel out the mess in the temple of the body of you, you know, those energies and feelings and things locked away. Yeah, so what? You're just here to re-examine everything divinely. The reality of your body will transform and transcend in whatever way it chooses. But if you're given the gift of realizing that there's some infinitely beautiful new choices that you can make for yourself, and you know that that's here and now available for you, then what do you choose? And are you willing to stay open and actually go through that transformation where, you know, I don't think any human can show anything about who they are as a creator consciousness. There's such little evidence of that being done in a divine way here that fucking everybody here failed. All 8 billion of them. Because we believe that, you know, this bullshit is real. And you're all trying to fix it. So if the truth of this is that this is basically a mental image reality that we conjure up until it's that real, doesn't mean that we can't still play with it when we're still interacting here, you know? Can we shift reality a little bit this way and a little bit that way by paying attention to something long enough that it transcends its limitations? You know, then how do you interact with your reality, even if that's like with a house? You know, what happens when the limitations are transcended? How much God conscious permeates every atom of every structure in existence? Just as much in and out of every atom of everything. So how divinely conscious can that marble wall be? All the way. All the way. So let it. Quit saying it's not. Open your third eye and notice any evidence that there's any kind of divinely awakened presence around you. I'm not necessarily suggesting it's me, you know, because I wouldn't propose that when it's so obviously not true. But that also doesn't mean that I'm not in the middle of a rather beautiful, for me, transformative experience of further opening and awakening, you know. So things are not damned. Things are happening. And what that whole bigger picture is, I guess I'm going to have to pay attention to that and open up to it and say, what is it really that's going on with this life? What's the next destination in terms of some sort of happening that there's, something worthy of celebrating from whatever level of consciousness. But what is it that the divine would celebrate? What would the divine celebration be? Well, it certainly would be fun to welcome each one of your friends that show up after you're there and they pop in and say, I'm back. So that'd be fun, but at the same time, how much creativity in terms of, just feeling like you're going to let your body create beautiful things here. Again, if you're talking about a creator consciousness that permeates us all to the same degree, and people like Buddha and Jesus and others tuned into that and woke up. And it's not that difficult to tune into. All you have to do is consider it, and you're connected there. And you surrender into it just like you surrender in everything else. And you share a presence there. Because if you're not sharing the same space with something else in this reality, why are you not? How come you're not experiencing, the wholeness of it all? And by that, be able to be free in kind of that fractal essence of you being Lily. Right? Let's have that essence, that bliss of unconditional love. Let's allow our consciousness begin to notice that radiance already burning in your heart. It's taken over your heart already and moving beyond. It's growing bigger and bigger moment by moment. More and more radiant, eternal truth and wisdom and love. It's just growing like a wildfire through the experience of what it is to be you. Mm. Oh, wow. Wow, I connected to something there. Something really in pain. It's okay to wake up in pain. All you have to do is notice it. You just need to wake up a little bit more so that there's a new harmonic resonance, essence of you, a greater, more expanded freedom, so that your body can readjust and reharmonize into that, and then, operate the way you want it to. So how much more open do you need to be as a consciousness, to allow your identity to transform to the point where you're truly competent? What's a better way to say it than that? You're at ease in reality because none of it wants to oppose you, because you see everything for what it is exactly and deal with it accordingly without judgment. Still loving it all. But you've got your body and what you want to do with it, and you get no is no and yes is yes instantly for all aspects of reality. As soon as something is out of line, it's just remember. We're not sleeping anymore. We're awakened within the dream of life. We're still in a dream, but we wake up here as actors in the dream of life. So that it all can come together in a happy ending, instead of absolute nuclear destruction of everything. I mean, I'm okay if that happens too. I mean, either way, we're dead, right? And so is everything that's ever born. It doesn't take long to die here. To have your full run, you're pretty close to halfway through yours, and I'm pretty close to halfway through mine. Pretty close. Awakened within the dream. It's as simple as that. Because you're awake in the dream holds no power over you anymore. You get to set your frequency in such a way that, the world sees you as something that it respects and allows it to be the way that it is. Regardless of what that signal is, everybody's got a flavor, and you feed that back to them. And the flavors you like are the ones that you spend time with. The flavors you don't is never even get to notice that you're there. Got anything else on your mind? Nothing? Nothing about pain?
Everything is moving inside of me.
Okay, but let's just take one more dive into you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm in. Let's let our wounded hearts, both heal. Let's just feel that healing in the moment. You know, it doesn't have to take a long time. All we have to do is be at home in our heart and be present and noticing as it transforms and transcends from suffering into unconditional love. We're just there to observe. It's already halfway happened. You know, we're just taking the final journey. You know, the roller coaster's been chugging up to the top of the mountain, and you're in the front car just going over the edge. Yeah, now is where it gets exciting. All my terrors are exposed and transcended. Then who you are is what? Who are you when you're free? When you're conscious? When you actually love all creation the same way the universal creator consciousness does, exactly the same. Because that universal creator consciousness permeates all of you, and there's nothing of it that's a stranger to you if you look at it and open to feel it. You know, just feel it in you and everything that's solid and suffering, everything that's guilty. Give all your guilt to the divine. Maybe the Catholics had it right after all. Well, what's new with you? You waking up a little bit? Seems
Why
like.
not?
Well, maybe a lot. Maybe a lot. That would be good for me, I know. Hmm. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff in me that's been stubbornly resisting healing. You know, and so I haven't even looked at it. I've been avoiding it, trying not to feel it, trying to push it away, and you push it away all day, every day. That's why you're in such good shape. You're constantly trying to get your body to work right. Okay, so can you give it a rest? Yeah. Let it be done to you. You haven't fixed it with all your 19 hours a day of exercise. So let it be done to you. Give it a chance to work, okay? Relax all of your intentions to fix yourself. Just experience what you are instead of fucking judging it as inappropriate. It's entirely appropriate. You just don't know why. So what would make your suffering appropriate? Oh, well, you're guilty of something, of course. Everybody's guilty should suffer. Everybody knows that. Especially the ones you really don't like. They should suffer the most because God knows what other horrible things they did in their lives. Hard to imagine that they're just not doing evil 24/7. Yeah, they should suffer. Okay, so that's what a shitty person we are. We treat reality like that. How else do you expect reality to respond to you? If you're judging it all the time. From a point of view of a consciousness that's in torment. And then you thinking that you're right and everybody's wrong when you're in a tormented consciousness is going to perpetuate that state. You know, it's your experience, it's your body, it's your consciousness, right? Not anybody else's. And the only way you get out of here, get awakened, is to notice your absolute wrongness until you're absolutely right about it. And when you're absolutely right about your wrongness, you'll realize that you were never wrong about anything, and that was just an experience you wanted to have, and it's no fucking big deal. Okay. Can't believe it's still only been 47 minutes. Really having to push things to get an hour in here. Yeah. And so what do you do when you realize you're truly in trouble? I'm in trouble. I have a near impossibility of getting anything done. So what's that about? What's causing that result? Because I certainly don't want it consciously. So you have to ask the question, and you have to feel the answer. It doesn't matter where that answer began, but you begin by being where it began and where it ended, and then fill in the betweens until you're comfortable with confronting, any kind of evil that wants to destroy you or convince you to destroy yourself. Yeah, pretty easy to do that here, right? Talk people into destroying themselves, their lives, their bodies, their consciousness, their families, their friends. Everybody's just, I guess it's not fair to say that, but it seems like there's half of this world is just crazy to the point of wanting to destroy the other half. The other half, I think, just wants to enjoy its life. To work and love and move freely and create, some sort of security for its life. So how does that relate to the remaining unconsciousness and limitations that we're holding on as our identity in our bodies? let's take a look at those pains and that suffering. Suffering so bad that we're not even sure what it is anymore because it's been so long since we ran away from it that it's just been festering in the dark. That's a pretty ugly picture, isn't it? Yeah. But if it exists within you, let's go there and wake up right now. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Here we go. It's not so bad when you have a friend with you. And then we both begin to notice that even in that horror, there's God there too. And as you notice God there, so does every other aspect of that reality begin to notice God there, and pretty soon nobody's a problem to anybody else. So just start the noticing now. So another way to look at this as we transform our experience of ourself by setting ourselves free, it's take it completely out of a spiritual dialogue. It's being present, pay attention, open and feel it, open and see it, open and hear it, but don't delude yourself about what reality is with thoughts. Take responsibility, be present, and pay attention. It's essentially the same thing. So be present, pay attention. Whatever you feel is there for a good reason. So you notice God in it, so the good reason that it's there becomes easy for you to understand. And in that understanding, again, somehow there's a fulfillment of the original reason, and then there's no longer a reason, for whatever that was to be oppositional to you anymore. When you allow yourself to notice the divinity in your enemy, those that have betrayed you, you can experience yourself as your divinity. Because you can't continue damning yourself when you bless others to their infinite and eternal truth sincerely. So why not that? Why not a sincere personal blessing to everyone you see? You allow yourself to feel unconditional love when you perceive them. And in that unconditional love, there's a flash of recognition of our universal shared divine nature that encompasses everyone and everything. Well, we're getting close close to that hour now. What would be a beautiful closing to this weird journey that we've been on? What would be the perfect ending for this? All of this damnation, all of this suffering, all of this pain, all of this misunderstanding, all of these fights and wars and hatred of others because of what they think or believe or where they live. The sound of their voice, and the color of their skin, whatever it is. If there's a physical aspect of reality that causes you to hate another human, just know how completely fucked you are. And you better sit yourself down and close your eyes and be still until you fucking wake up again. Until the kingdom of heaven itself opens its doors and say, well, if you're going to sit here all day long, you might as well come in. Enter the kingdom of heaven in the experience of your own body, and I guarantee that pain will take care of itself. Yeah, you can feel that kingdom of heaven within you. You don't notice the doors open. And whoever it is on the inside, they're all noticing you, and they're all saying, welcome home. Welcome home, Lily, Liz. Welcome home, Lilith. We're happy to see you've come back to your senses. Yeah. Makes sense to me. So that's why I need to find out how to do this at least once a day. Because, the opening is continuing to stay open and grow. And that's a ride you take to the end. Who do you share your energy with? Monsters or demons or the divine beautifully awakening in someone you know? But again, there's no need of any kind in a divine relationship. There's no obligation. There's just, oh, it's so nice to see you again. That's it. And an openness to take in everything of what you became since the last time. appreciation of love becoming real to you as your truth of yourself. There, yeah, like that. At the core of your being, and all the way down to the tailbone. Yeah. Let the divine just shoot out a fireworks out of the tip of that, and every joint, and all the way up to where your neck merges with your head and explodes in your third eye and out your crown. Burning the candle at both ends, so to speak, until, oh my God, there your heart opened, and there's actually a light, a radiance shining out beyond your body. So now you got it going 3 different directions. And then your tailbone wakes up. And everything down there is just, okay. So all of this is coming back into flow. Yeah. It's a natural thing, you can't spend all day long forcing it. You have to feel it, you have to know it, you have to understand it, and you have to have compassion for it. You have to be willing to know by experience exactly what it is and go, oh, okay, I got it. So if it's happening in your body, you got to be willing to pay attention to it. And go, okay, yeah, oh, wow. And for me, there's this thing that's just cutting right through me that I'm trying to fully embrace right now, but yeah, there's more stuff. But this was a different one tonight. It's a new interesting twist on my sessions. So this will be up where you can look at it in about an hour, but if you do, you'll be the only one that does, because as you know, I don't promote these. Nobody watches them, so it's just for you. I mean, why would you want to watch it again? I don't know. I wouldn't. And the other thing I'd like to say is, if somehow you stumbled upon this and were so bored and so not ADD that you actually watched this for an hour, then what for you too? Exactly the same. There's nothing here that's real that holds you back. The consciousness that you choose for yourself. Open up your mind, open up your energetics, open up your ability to know. So you can, see that quantum leap, that infinitely better choice for yourself that's readily available to you, and now you're perceiving it and getting a pretty good idea of it. Okay, it's like going up a step, but it's like 7 feet tall. I can see a little bit if I stand on my toes or pull myself up. And but what you know is your next quantum leap, your next level of expansion is, one of great freedom. Now you don't know what the responsibilities are with that. You don't know. Well, there's going to be less degree of control over you than each time you take a step up, there's less and less control and more personal freedom because you're more and more fucking trustworthy of behaving yourself. You know, so let's behave ourselves and take the next step by taking responsibility for everything that we feel is still solid in our bodies. We failed there, and we're still failing there. So be willing to feel it completely and be willing to notice greater consciousness there in the midst of it, permeating every aspect of it. There's no aspect of it that you can feel or conceive or see or hear that hasn't got the radiance of God shining through it at the same time. It's just when you don't notice it, then the story is real. And when you notice it, the story falls apart. So it's about that simple. Well, so is there anything else that I should say about me or about you? Hey, let's talk about my YouTube channel. If you did get this far, you know, I apologize for everything I said and don't believe a word of it. That's first. Second is don't watch anymore and don't come back. If this hasn't fixed you by unfixing you into your own divine expression, it's not going to happen for you, so don't come back. And don't like the video, don't share it. So that's what I got to say about that. I don't want any followers. I just want whoever's supposed to see it do what they need to and get the fuck on with their lives. Don't follow anybody. You're a divine creator. Open and be free, and then create like God in the most beautiful, inspiring ways that, you know, are a joy to participate in. So I'll leave that at that. And let's see, end the stream.